Imagine someone handed you a card and said, "Here, spend as much as you want. You don't have to pay anything today. No cash leaving your wallet, no number going down. Just a swipe, a tap, a smile from the cashier, and you walk out with whatever you wanted." Sounds harmless, right? It's just a piece of plastic. But here's the strange part. Studies on spending behavior have found something wild. People are willing to spend up to twice as much when they pay with a card instead of cash for the exact same item, same product, same price tag, same person, just a different way of paying. And somehow, that alone changes how much money they're willing to let go of.
So the real question isn't why do people overspend on credit cards? The real question is, what is it about a piece of plastic that quietly rewires how your brain feels about spending money? Let's get into it. Most people think overspending is a willpower problem. They think if someone racks up credit card debt, it's because they're bad with money, or they lack discipline, or they just can't control themselves. And sure, self-control matters. But that explanation misses something bigger. It assumes the credit card is neutral, just a tool, just a convenient way to pay, as if swiping a card and handing over cash trigger the exact same feeling in your brain. They don't.
The truth is, credit cards aren't neutral. They are engineered, refined, and tested by some of the smartest behavioral psychologists and designers in the financial industry with one specific goal: to make spending feel effortless. Not because they want to trick you into poverty for fun, but because a card that feels effortless to use gets used more often, for larger amounts, more frequently. And that is exactly how credit card companies make their money. So before you blame yourself for that impulse purchase last week, it's worth understanding the system you're operating inside, because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Here's a concept behavioral economists use called pain of paying. It sounds dramatic, but it's simple. Every time you hand over money, your brain registers a tiny, almost invisible flinch. It's the same part of your brain that responds to physical discomfort, not agony. Just a small internal nudge that says, wait, is this worth it? Think about the last time you paid for something in cash. You physically watched the bills leave your hand. You felt the stack get thinner. There's a kind of built-in honesty to that moment. Your brain sees the money disappearing in real time, and that visual, physical loss makes you pause, even for half a second, before deciding to spend.
Now, compare that to swiping a card. There's no stack getting thinner, no visual reminder of loss, just a beep, a smile, and a receipt you probably won't look at twice. The transaction happens so fast and so smoothly that your brain doesn't even register it as losing money. It just registers it as getting something. This is the first trick. And it's not really a trick in the sinister sense. It's just how the human brain works. But financial companies know this pattern extremely well. And they've built entire payment systems specifically designed to shrink that pain of paying moment down to almost nothing.
Tap to pay, one-click checkout, saved card details that let you buy something in 3 seconds without ever entering a number. Every single one of these innovations, marketed to us as convenience, has the side effect of quietly deleting the moment, where your brain would normally pause and ask, do I actually want this? Here's the second layer, and this one is even sneakier. When you use a credit card, you're not spending your money. Not in that moment, anyway. You're spending the bank's money. You're borrowing it with a promise to pay it back later, but your brain doesn't process it that way in the moment. In the moment, it just feels like money that appeared out of nowhere.
Psychologists call this a kind of mental accounting trick. Your brain treats money differently, depending on where it seems to be coming from. Money in your checking account feels real and limited. Money on a credit line feels abstract and flexible, almost like it isn't truly yours yet. So spending it doesn't feel like a real loss. This is why so many people can say, I would never spend $300 on shoes, and then do exactly that on a credit card without blinking. It's not that they're lying to themselves. It's that in the moment, that $300 didn't feel like $300 real dollars. It felt like credit. It felt like tomorrow's problem.
And that's the phrase that matters most here, tomorrow's problem. Credit cards are brilliant at converting today's spending decision into tomorrow's financial consequence, which means the version of you standing in the store, excited and dopamine-driven, gets to make the decision, while the version of you a month later, staring at the bill, has to deal with the outcome. Two completely different mindsets, separated by weeks, making the same financial decision. One impulsive, one regretful. Now let's add one more piece. Because credit cards don't just remove the pain of spending, they actively reward you for doing it. Points, cashback, airline miles, Sign-up bonuses. Spend $500 in the first 3 months and get a free flight. On the surface, these feel like gifts, like the card company is rewarding your loyalty. But flip the logic around for a second. Why would a company hand you free money, free flights, or free cashback just for spending more? Because on average, across millions of users, the extra spending those rewards encourage is worth far more to the company than the reward itself costs them. Rewards programs aren't generosity. They're a spending accelerator disguised as a gift. This creates something psychologists call a variable reward loop. The same mechanism that makes slot machines and social media so addictive. Every purchase gives you a tiny hit of, I'm being smart, I'm earning points. That small feeling of progress, even while going into debt, can be enough to keep the habit running. You're not just spending money anymore. You're playing a game where the win is spending more. So here's where this all comes together. And this is the part that actually matters for how you build wealth, not just how you avoid debt. Debt isn't just a math problem. It's a psychology problem wearing a math costume. Most people think the solution to overspending is just spend less or make a budget. And while those things help, they miss the deeper issue. If the system you're using to spend money is specifically engineered to lower your guard, then trying to out-discipline it with willpower alone is like trying to outswim a current. You might manage it for a while, but the current never stops pulling. The people who build real wealth aren't necessarily the ones with superhuman self-control. They're the ones who understand the environment they're spending in, and they redesign that environment. So good decisions become the easy default, instead of relying on willpower in the heat of the moment. This is actually one of the biggest secrets in personal finance that nobody markets, because it's not exciting. Wealth isn't built by having incredible discipline every single day. It's built by removing the number of moments where discipline is even required. So what does that look like in real life? First, bring back friction where friction protects you. If tap to pay and saved cards make spending too easy, remove them. Make yourself manually enter your card details every time. That tiny bit of added effort recreates the pause your brain lost. And that pause is often enough to stop an impulse buy before it happens. Second, separate your identity from your credit limit. Your credit limit is not your money. It's not even close to your money. It's simply the maximum amount a bank is willing to bet that you'll be able to pay back with interest in your favor, not yours. Seeing a $5,000 limit doesn't mean you have $5,000. It means a bank thinks you're a safe bet to lend to. Third, treat rewards programs as a bonus for spending you were already going to do, never as a reason to spend more. If a purchase only makes sense because of the points attached to it, that's usually a sign the purchase doesn't actually make sense. And finally, pay attention to the gap between the moment you spend and the moment you feel it. If a payment method makes that gap disappear completely, that's exactly the moment to slow down, not speed up. None of this means credit cards are evil or that you should avoid them completely. Used well, they can build credit history, offer protection, and yes, even earn genuinely useful rewards. But used carelessly, inside a system designed to erase your hesitation, they can quietly turn small daily decisions into long-term financial setbacks that take years to undo. Here's a thought worth sitting with. Every time you swipe, tap, or click to pay, you're not just making a purchase. You're stepping into an environment that has been carefully designed, tested, and refined to make that purchase feel as effortless as possible. Not because anyone is out to get you personally, but because effortless spending is simply good business. The people who struggle with money aren't always the ones who don't understand math. Often, they're the ones who never realized they were playing a game that was designed quite literally to make them play more. So the next time
About to tap your card without thinking twice, ask yourself one simple question. Would I still buy this if I had to count out the cash in my hand? If the answer is yes, go for it. If the answer makes you hesitate, that hesitation is the whole point. That's your brain trying to protect you in a system built to make sure you never hear it.